Hello everyone. Today I'm making the crispiest chicken wings you'll ever taste. Well, I'll taste them and you'll see them. And maybe even hear them. I'm going to show you the secret to getting these wings as crispy as can be. And once I pour on the sauce, these wings will get devoured in no time flat. So let's start with the wings first. Yes, you can leave these whole, but it's much easier to eat these if they're split into drumettes and flats. Now, the key is finding the joints. The wing has 3 parts. The drumette, that's this part here that looks like a mini drumstick. Then the flat, that's the middle section with 2 thin bones. And sometimes there's the tip part, that's the small pointy end, and it's mostly skin and bone. If your wing has a tip, then first cut the tip off by cutting through the joint, not the bone. Your knife should slide easily through it. If not, adjust the angle. These wings had the tips cut off already and not very cleanly. I'd say they were butchered. You can save the tips in a freezer bag. They're perfect to throw into the soup pot to make chicken stock. Once you've taken care of the wing tip, if it was still there, then you want to separate the drumette from the flat. Or leave them whole. To separate them, hold the drumette in one hand and the flat in the other and wiggle them until you see the joint, or bend them until you feel them pop apart. You should be able to see the separation. Then just slice right through the joint. That's separation. Don't slice through the bone. You can feel it if your knife is going through easily or if you're hitting bone. If you feel you're going through the bone, then adjust your knife angle. This does take a little practice, but once you get it, the going gets easier. Or you could just leave the wings whole and follow the recipe with the 2 sides attached. It's a little messier to eat when they are whole, but they still taste the same, so it's your choice. We like them separated, so I go for that extra step, but if I'm too tired to prep them, then they're going to get cooked whole. Now, I promised you crispy wings, so the next step is to pat the wings dry as you can. That's important if you want crispy wings. You could also put the wings on a rack in the refrigerator overnight to dry out the skin even more, but I don't have time for that, so paper towels to the rescue. Pat, pat, pat until you feel they are dry and no longer glistening or wet looking. Once the wings are patted dry, it's time to season them, and here again is the second key to getting these wings crispy. The first was to make sure they are dry. The second is to add baking powder to the mix. Use around 1 teaspoon of baking powder per pound of chicken wings. Now, for some reason, some people mix up baking powder with baking soda, and ew, you're not going to like the taste if you mix the 2 up. They are very different. So make sure you are using baking powder, not baking soda. So for my seasonings, 1 teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, 1 teaspoon of smoked paprika or regular if you don't have smoked. And I like to add a teaspoon of this garlic herb seasoning blend from Dash. Totally optional, but I like the seasonings in it. Okay, now I mix this all together just because I feel like it. And then I add 1 teaspoon of baking powder. You can really add this in any order that you want to, and you can mix it in any order you want to. It doesn't matter. So to make the recipe simple and easy to remember, I add 1 teaspoon of all of the seasoning mixes for each 1 to 1.5 pounds of chicken wings. And after the baking powder, you're done. Unless you want this extra crispy, then go ahead, like I'm doing here, and add a teaspoon of cornstarch to the mix. These wings are going to be super crispy, just the way we like them. So that's it for the seasonings. Now, you can add any spices you want. There's really no rule here except for the baking powder and probably the salt. For example, sometimes I just add in this Old Bay seasoning. It's got lots of good stuff in it. Just be careful if you add something that already has salt in it, then cut back on the added salt, or you can even omit it. If you're new to cooking, then just go with the recipe I just gave you with 1 teaspoon each of baking powder, salt, garlic powder, and paprika, 1 teaspoon each. and cornstarch if you want. That's 1 teaspoon per 1 pound or 1.5 pounds of wings. Now it's time to coat the wings, and you can either do this in a bowl or you can put the seasonings in a bag with the wings and toss them around that way, sort of like the old shake and bake routine. Toss the wings around in the bowl or in a bag until they're all coated, and now it's time to line them up in the air fryer. Now, one last important thing to remember if you want crispy wings, and that's to spread the wings out in a single layer. No overlapping wings. Some people say to also give the wings space between them and around them, not to overcrowd them, but I always overcrowd. But in a single layer, never have overlapping pieces, and they come out nice and crispy, as you'll soon see. If you want to give the wings more space, then you're going to have to do them in batches, and I don't have patience for that, but I always make sure there are no overlapping pieces. Remember, a single layer. I also don't preheat my air fryer. I just pop them in at 400 degrees Fahrenheit, that's around 204 Celsius, for 24 minutes. That's 12 minutes on each side. Okay, here we are at the 12-minute mark, halfway through, and let's see. Wow, golden brown and sizzling. Can you hear that? Now it's time to flip over all these pieces, and be careful, they are hot, and the air fryer is also hot. So flip them all over and make sure there are no overlapping pieces. And now they go back in for another 12 minutes at 400 degrees Fahrenheit. And now it's been another 12 minutes, so a total of 24 minutes, and look at them. They are a nice, crispy, golden brown. And when I shake them, you can hear how crispy they are. You hear that? Now for the best part, the sauce. Okay, this is optional, of course. The wings are delicious right out of the air fryer without any sauce, but we like them saucy, and our two favorite brands are these two. Some of us like Frank's buffalo wing sauce, and some of us like Sweet Baby Ray's sauce. This is the Kickin' Bourbon sauce. You probably have your own favorite sauce. If not, try one of these. The Frank's is a little hotter than the Sweet Baby Ray's, just in case you're wondering. So all you do is toss the wings in the sauce and serve. If you want the sauce to set and be a little on the sticky side, then put the wings back in the air fryer on 400 for 1 or 2 minutes with the sauce on, and that will take the wings to a whole different level. So 3 points to remember in order to get the crispiest wings you can. 1, pat the wings dry, make sure they're dry. 2, use baking powder, not baking soda, and add cornstarch if you want. And 3, do not overlap the wings. Make sure they are in a single layer. And there you have it, the crispiest wings you'll ever taste. Bon appetit, and thanks for watching. Bye.